4 grids here, so that's right. So just offset towards the outside and make 4 walls around those 4 grids. All right, then you can trim those corners together, and there's your 4 walls. If you change that to a medium level of detail, you'll be able to see the composition of the walls and the fact that we do have block on the inside and brick on the outside, because that's important. That's the way they're supposed to be oriented. Well, again, the idea of this exercise was to combine a little bit of the 2 exercises that we just did. So last week we did a steel structure. Before that we did the concrete structure, right? So the bridge here is our steel structure, and these pavilions are our concrete structures. So for the pavilion, we're going to add some concrete columns. So let's go to the structural column tool and load family. You want to go to your metric structural columns and choose concrete. And we're using the square one. Our column size is 400 by 400, which means you're going to have to make a new one. So make a new one that's 400 by 400 for me, and that's what we'll use. Alrighty, and we're going by height, and we want to go all the way up to the roof level, right? So we may as well get it as close to where it's going as we can. Let's use the @grid placement tool again, and pick the 6 grids of the pavilion. So 4, 5, and 6, and was A, B, and D. Now let's place our 9 columns there. All right, now we can adjust their tops and bottoms. If you select one of them, you can extend the selection. That'll pick just the square columns. We want the base to be the 0, 0 level. And we want the top to be the roof level minus the thickness of the structural slab above, which will be 250. So negative 250 will be our top offset. While we're here, let's add a foundation slab. So this is your foundation slab tool here. Structure, go to foundation, pick slab. So this is for a slab on grade. If you'll use the pick line tool, then just pick the inside faces of the 4 walls to make your slab sketch. Looks good, you can accept that. All right, so now we have a slab on grade. You could use the pad tool to draw that if you wanted to, which actually would be a good idea. So, yeah, or you could actually add a pad as well. Remember, the advantage of a pad is it excavates the topo surface. If you draw a pad above the topo surface, then you get compacted fill up to the level of the pad. All right, let's add our other floors next. So we'll work our way up the building until we do the roof, and then we'll add our profile. So let's go to the O2 mid-story. If you take a look, of course, the mid-story has a triangular shaped landing for a full story of stairs. So at the mid-story here, there's really only just that triangular floor slab. So we'll draw that next. So going up to the mid-story, now you want to go and choose structural floor. So we use this tool to make our concrete slab. You'll need to make a new type. So duplicate this one, we'll call it concrete slab dash 250 millimeter. You'll want to go into edit assembly, set the thickness to 250 and the material to concrete, cast in place gray. Or just cast in place. I think it may just be cast in place. No, it's great, okay. There is one called concrete cast in place concrete, isn't there? All right, one or the other, I'm happy. Okay, say okay to that. And okay again. And okay again. So this one here, if you take a look at the sketch, basically the easiest way to start this would be to zoom in at this column here at intersection at grid 5. So go to your line drawing tool here. And maybe start by the top corner of the column. Then draw down to the next column corner here, down to here. Okay, now go horizontally over to the column to the right, horizontally. To the corner, yeah, did it? Okay, so go from, it's hard for me to see what's in the, no, you want to go horizontally, that's flat. Over here. You're drawing to the column on the right, so go straight to the right. That's right, all the way over to the corner of the next column. Okay, I can't even tell what's going on. It's so faint I can barely see it, but take a look at the drawing. Okay, O2 mid-story. You see what I'm drawing there? So just draw that triangular area there of concrete by snapping to the corners of the columns. All right, that's fine. Select that. Okay, so there's our mid-story landing. We'll eventually attach the stairs to this and surround it with a railing. Let's go to the O4 level next, and we'll draw the floor at this level. So here at the O4 level, why don't you put the O2 level in as an underlay? So, yeah, in order to go to the viewport properties, you have to deselect what's selected. So remove your selection. Now we'll plug in the O2 level as an underlay. So that allows us to see the floor below. So here on this level, what I'd like you to do is follow the line of the floor below and then make your floor go around the outside of the columns until you get back here again. Okay, so you want to go across here to the outside of the column, work your way around the outsides of the columns until you get back to where you started. And I'm not worried, like I don't need to avoid the columns when I draw this, because remember I can use the join tool to join the slabs and the columns together. And by doing that, the columns will cut themselves out of the slab. So it's not necessary to work around the columns. You can just go straight through them. So start at this corner here. Okay, and go over to the other end of that line. No, go to the right.
So this is me.
Go to the right, all the way to the end of this line. There you go. Okay, now go down to the lower corner of this column. All the way to the corner of the column. Okay, and now just draw around the outside of the columns until you get back to where you started.
Oh, I
Alrighty, so there you go. So go ahead and accept that. So now we have floors at O2 level and O4 level. Let's add a roof at the O5 level. So go to your O5 level. Maybe here I would suggest changing your view from medium back to coarse. And so that will show these walls as two lines, right? So all you really want to do is go back to your structural floor tool. I know it's a roof, but for doing a structural slab at the roof level, it's still a structural floor according to the structural menu. So choose your structural floor again. We're going to use the same style. And use pick line here and just choose the outside edges of your floor walls. And go ahead and complete that. All right, let's take a look at that in 3D. And why don't we do a quick save here before we add our roof slab profile. I thought I cleaned on it.
I haven't eaten this cookie for so long.
Which one is it?
I found it yesterday at No Frills, but like I remember eating it.
Alrighty,
on,
now,
like, small
once you get this
plastic.
done, we have a profile I'd like you to draw, which is on the back page. So, if you notice, where you go 300 up from the bottom, that's going to be the start point. 300 above the bottom, along the right-hand edge of the bottom. So the bottom right vertical line there on the right, but at the bottom, that's going to be our other starting point. So create a new family, and I guess you chose metric profile as your family template, right? So with your line tool, start at the
Tastes really
intersection
good.
and draw to the right by 60. Then go up 240 from there. Then to the right by 60. Then we'll go up 340 from there. And to the left by 40. Okay, starting again at the bottom, we'll go down 300. To the left by 300. Up by 740. To the left by 40. Up by 80. And then back to the end point above. All right, so that's the profile shape that I'm going to wrap around the top of the roof slab. So save this to your desktop. We'll call that roof slab edge profile. And then you'll want to load it into your project. Probably easiest to apply this in the 3D view. So we need to go to the floor tools and choose floor slab edge. You can actually find this in about 3 different locations, this little tool. So to define our new slab edge, choose edit type. We'll make a duplicate. We'll call this roof slab edge. We'll plug in the new profile we just loaded. And for the material, you want to pick the same material as before your cast in place concrete. All right, now we can apply it to all 4 corners at once. If you pick a top edge here and hit the tab key, you can extend the selection and then pick, and it should apply it to all 4 sides. No, there's no structural roof slab to it. So if you want to make a horizontal structural slab for your roof, structural floor is your choice. Well, you try to put in a roof patch into the floor? I would just, is the roof hatch hosted by a roof? That is, right? Well, you see, there's an architectural roof tool. There's no structural roof tool. So I think it's not unusual to have an architectural column and a structural column in the same location. So you could do a structural floor, which is your structural slab. You could also have an architectural roof in the same location. Your roof hatch would go into the architectural roof. You would have to make an opening in the structural floor in the same location. So just, you know how there's one category in at an assembly which is for structure? So ideally, the structural slab would fit in the same location as the material that shows up as structure in the roof depth. So those should correspond. There is some overlap in Revit, and it's the case with floors, and it's also the case with columns. No, the roof tools doesn't have a slab edge tool. It just has fascias and soffits and gutters. Okay, so that looks good. So what we'll do next is maybe while we're here, let's add our stair. So let's go back to the O1 level and we'll draw our stair here. So going to the O1 level, it would be helpful to be able to see the floor above. So let's put the O2 level in as an underlay. And it would also be helpful to have a little bit of layout geometry here at this level. You can't make a circular reference plane, can you? I mean, if you go to reference plane, you just have straight lines that are available. But you can make a circular model line. So let's do that just to help us lay things out. So if you go to model line and pick circle, let's turn radius on and set the radius to 2000. And then just place your center of your circle at the midpoint of the floor above. Okay, so that's just going to help us lay out our stair. We'll go to the stair by sketch tool. I don't think that was stair by sketch you chose. I think that was stair by component you chose. So cancel that. We want stair by sketch. There's only one way to draw an arc here, which is center and two ends. So let's pick center and two ends for our run. You want to find the center here of the circle that we just drew. So when you get to the center point and the circle highlights, then you know you've found it. So when the circle highlights, pick the center. So that's the center point of our arc. For the beginning point of our run, you want to start here on the left. So go to your left intersection, and then you start drawing around the arc. You want to draw until the note there, and it's very faint on the screen, but you should be able to read it a little better. There's a note here that tells you how many treads you've created, and how many risers you've created, and how much more to go, right? So you want to create 10 with 10 remaining. So click where it says 10 are created. Now, we can't just take this border and stretch it around. Because if this border line is just a single arc, the entire stringer and the landing is going to curl up like a helix or a coil. It's not going to flatten out at the landing. So in order for this stair to be flat at the landing, we need to have 3 arcs. We have one here, one at the landing, and the other one going in last. So this green line here is not one continuous arc, it has to be 3 arcs. 1, 2, and 3. So once you've drawn half the stair, let's take this and mirror it over to the other side. So select that geometry, modify and select that geometry. So put a window around it, it's your best bet. All right, and you'll need to use the mirror draw axis tool. If you can find the midpoint there or the center point, you can draw from there up or down to create your line of reflection. All right, so this will go up 10 risers, then we'll have a flat landing and we'll go up another 10 risers. So now you have to draw another arc in here and another arc in there. So now I would use the 3-point arc tool, it's probably easiest. So if you go from end point to end point and then, and normally I'd go from left to right, but it probably doesn't matter. But and no, you want this arc to be the same radius as these 2 sides, right? So go from there to there, and it should snap. That's right. It'll snap when it matches the radius of the existing 2 arcs. So we want the same thing here as well. Good. Now, that will create one stair. So that will go from the parking level up to the mid-story. To create a second one above that, we can add a multi-story top level. So for our multi-story top level, let's put in level, the main level, level 4. And while we're here, let's choose a